quickly, safety and security concerns. Nothing heard. Let's go to weather. The weather is very calm. The wind is calm the next couple of days. Great window to go east. You're looking to go east. And high tide is at about 12:15 today. Any comments on the weather? Nothing heard. Let's go to commercial announcements. Go.
On Thursday. And happy hour is 2 for 1 drinks, most drinks, so you gotta ask. I guess that's about it.
Thank you, Jan. Nothing heard. Let's go to community announcements, and I'll start. So today begins the vaccine treatments at the hospital. And it's the Chinese vaccine, so you'll need 2 doses. They'll be spaced approximately a month apart. Any other miscellaneous come now? Nothing heard. That will conclude CruisersNet today. The next CruisersNet will be Sunday at 9 a.m. Everyone have a great day. Going back to 6-8.
Hi there. Welcome to episode number 22. In many ways, this is an episode about nothing because I'm still not sailing. I am still kind of marking time. You military guys know that marking time means you're marching in place. You're marching, you're doing stuff, but you're not really going anywhere. And that's very descriptive of me at the moment. But I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I like it here. It's beautiful weather. There's really very little to complain about. A lovely marina with great people, good friends here. So things are good. And I'm preparing for my my return to Scotland, which should only be a few weeks away, depending how the lockdown goes in Scotland. We think the lockdown is going to end on April 5th. Not sure about the quarantine rules, but we do think that on April 5th I'll be able to return to Scotland and live on the boat. And that's pretty huge. So in early February I took a break from the boat life in Luperon, and I went to a place called Cabarete. That is a beach town about 2 hours east of Luperon. And Cabarete is a beach town, and it's a tourist trap. So in most poor countries, when you have an area that is popular with tourists, you get the usual. You get bars, you get liquor stores, you get hookers. You know, that's what you get. And you get restaurants that are overpriced. So, I mean, it's okay. And just like in Colombia, you can't go 5 feet without having somebody wanting to, you know, sell you something. And it gets kind of old. But I spent almost all of my time swimming, running, and watching my finger. And you go, finger? What is up with that? You know, well, I got bit by a spider in my last day in Luperon. I went to bed one night feeling fine, and when I woke up in the morning, my index finger, it hurt, and it was beginning to swell up by 7 in the morning, it was swollen. I've got some pictures I can show you. I'm not trying to gross you out, but you can see this is about as bad as I got. And I spent about 3 weeks in the Cabarete, you know, running, swimming, and looking at my finger. You know, that's pretty much what I did. So I learned that it was a whitetail spider that bit me, and these guys are real sickos because apparently they'll crawl into your eyeballs to try to suck away the moisture as you sleep. Now, I don't know if that's an old wives' tale, but that could be it, because I know, and they, you know, you can imagine the sleeping person will rub their eye, and that's when the spider bit me. I don't know, but it hurt like hell. And it was swelling to the point that I was becoming officially concerned. When I first saw the swollen finger, I thought I must have been bitten by something. I kind of assumed that. And I used an old fisherman trick that I learned up in Crystal River, Florida from a guy named Lewis, who taught me to put as much heat as you can bear and making it. So I dunked it in, frankly, in my green tea, and I boiled it and damn near cooked my finger off my body, trying to kill the venom. And that helped for a few days, but later I had to go get some medical help and take some really cool drugs. And look what we have here. This sailing vessel, Ruth Avery. She's a famous boat, made famous by her skipper, a gentleman named Kevin Boothby, who keeps a sailing channel on YouTube called How to Sail Oceans. I've been a subscriber of Kevin's for over 2 years, I know that. This little boat, who has no engine, has been around the world at least once. And I know Kevin just finished in a big loop of the North Atlantic. That's where that's why he's here now. He's on his way home after having left the U.S., traveled across the North Atlantic to Ireland, and then down the coast of Europe and across the ocean again, and through some spots in the Caribbean. And now Kevin is making his way back to the U.S. His next stop, I believe, is going to be Miami. So it's a pleasure to have put my eyeballs on his ship. You know, it's a pleasure to meet Kevin. So for those of you out there who are interested in boats that don't look like spaceships, you know, or sailing channels that are not focused on just girls in bikinis and all that stuff, you might want to think about subscribing to Kevin's channel. It'll be educational for sure, and I think it's rewarding for me. So that's all I'll say. But what things do I think I need to do before I actually go out onto the North Sea and head up to the Orkney Islands? Because that's really the goal. Well, I need to get a radio. I own a VHF radio, and it's mechanically installed and screwed to the shelf, but I don't have the antenna connected, and I don't have it connected to power. Same with the AIS. So the AIS is capable of receiving ship information from other ships, and it's also capable of broadcasting my position. That also comes with its own antenna in the VHF range, and it has to be connected to power as well. And so I absolutely plan on doing that work. It's fast, it's easy, and I can do that. Each of those units also comes with a GPS input and has a GPS sensor, but I don't have a really good plan yet for how I'm going to install those, because I want to install them outside of the pilot house and somehow find a way to run the cables inside, and that's not so easily done in a steel boat. So job number one is to get the antennas and power connected to the AIS and the VHF radio. Number two, so the dinghy. Right now I've got a dinghy on the boat, and it's not really ready. I mean, it would float if I pumped it up, and I don't mind pumping up once a day, but I don't have the outboard running yet. I'd like to fix the leak first. I don't have any oars yet. I don't have a seat that goes across the dinghy. So little things like that, yeah, it still need to be done. It's easy to walk around in a boat that's flat like I am now, but my boat is going to be rolly when I get out on the open water. I'm going to roll quite a bit, and the inside of my cabin is wider than this boat. It's about 3.8 meters wide when I walk in that back door of my boat, and there is not one handhold for somebody to grab onto when you walk in the door. And I don't have all my safety gear inventory. You know, honestly, I don't even know what the law says in the UK, but I assume that it's required that we have flares, it's required that we have life jackets. I know I need to have safety harnesses for everybody who wants to walk outside the door if we're at sea. I need to install a jack line so you can attach the safety harnesses. You know, none of this is rocket science, but it's always been work that needs to be done, and I just haven't done it yet. So those are the things that absolutely must be done before I go to sea. So peeking at my computer here. So what else is on the wish list? You know, things that I wish I could have 100% done. Well, it would be really smart for me to take the time, even if it's an entire day, and sort out the anchor locker. So the anchor locker at the moment is okay. And I'm sure that I could deploy either anchor if I had to anchor quickly, but pulling the anchor up is not so easily done on my boat. So that's one, get the anchor sorted out. Second thing I would love to do is install some new lighting. I don't have a light above my chart table, so at night, if I need to look at the chart, I'm going to be using a flashlight at the moment. Now I physically have lamps that I bought here in Florida at a second-hand shop. Nice little brass lamps. I plan on going to find some LED bulbs that are red, so I'd have one red and one white light, that sort of thing, and I don't have that yet. All of the interior lighting is white. Most boats, if they're properly made for going to sea, would have at least one or two red lights in a different location, so that when you're sailing at night and you need to see where you're going, you don't ruin your night vision. That's the purpose of the red lights. That would be as simple as physically installing the light, connecting it to DC power, and boom, I'm done. It would be nice to figure out how to install the GPS antennas for three things. The VHF radio, the AIS transponder, and any future chart plotter, all are going to need GPS signals. Some people use just one GPS antenna and use the NMEA connections to connect it for all the devices that use the GPS. My iPad has its own GPS, just like your smartphone probably does. And I do have a chart plotter system already on my iPad, so I'm probably okay the way I am, because I intend to use a handheld GPS and paper charts, when I sail. But my AIS is a Class B AIS, and that's a waste of money if I don't get a GPS antenna mounted and connected, because an AIS will broadcast my position to other ships, and that's really the whole idea. In case the Coast Guard is looking for me, then I need to have that up and running. But my boat is a steel boat, and the antennas are best installed outside the steel skin of the boat, up on the top of the pilot house, way up above. And somehow I need to run the cables inside the pilot house to the area above the chart table. And so it's really a geometric problem and a logistic problem. How do I physically get these cables installed so they look halfway intelligent and they can reach and not have any water leaks and all that stuff? Haven't figured that out yet, but I would love to do that. It would be nice if I had the money. I would just pay somebody to just replace all of my deck hatches. So the hatches in the overhead that are on this boat, as boats get older, those hatches get older and they all tend to leak. And so on my boat, I can seal them pretty tightly, but I'm worried about them. I'm worried about one false move and having the hatches get stove in completely, and I'm taking on hundreds of gallons of water every time I hit a wave. So what I am planning on doing before I get underway at a minimum is having some pieces of plywood and strong backs prefabricated and ready to install in case we shall blow out a window. I'm also a little bit concerned about the hydraulic steering on the boat. It works, but I would love to take the time to replace a hydraulic steering pump. So behind the steering wheel, there's an actual mechanical pump, a positive displacement pump that moves the hydraulic fluid, and it just feels funky. There's too many turns of the wheel to make the rudder go from right to left. And other sailors who've grabbed the wheel and operated it with me, we all agree that there's something not quite right. So the answer is probably replace the pump. But again, this is all about time. And I would like to replace the water pump on the engine and probably flush the coolant and that sort of thing. Well, so that's the work that we need to do on the boat, in my humble opinion. So I'm not 100% sure that I'm right. If anybody has different ideas, please tell me if you think there's a big gap. What I really don't want to do is end up working on the boat for 4 more months. It's very easy to just keep tugging the string and you end up never finishing, and I could literally be there for 20 years, always making the boat better, but never leaving. And I know that I'm susceptible to that, so finding a way to just cut it off and say, no, this is good enough, we're going to sea, the rest of the work we'll do while we're underway. And I need to get to that point. So I think I've picked the right jobs to do. Looking forward to your comments there. So, next couple of weeks, I'm going to be heading north, though, to visit some family. And I'll be kind of keeping my eyeball on travel back to the UK. I think that the lockdown will be ending soon. I think so. And I think that I'll be free to travel soon. And I think if I get the COVID vaccine, like I think I'll be able to do up north, then I should be free to go. And in a month from today, I really ought to be standing on my boat in Scotland. And wow, that would be lovely. So take care, everybody. So first I'm going to keep my voice down because I've got neighbors who are still sleeping. Some of the boats are pretty close. I've been asked, how did I manage to lose the oar? Well, let's take a look. This is a high field dinghy. And on a high field, this is how they have the oar locks. See? And that's not bad. You can use this foundation as a cleat to tie a line to. And you got this thing that holds the oar. And I think that's convenient because you could take any wooden oar and you could drill a hole through it and you could mount it on these oar locks. So what did I do? First, notice that there's a threaded connection. And I'm telling you that I do not have a nut to go on the end, but the oar installs like this. The oar just has the hole down the center. And the oar slides on like this. Okay? And then you do your thing. Okay? And typically, when I get to the dinghy dock or back here to the boat, I will take the oar and I fold it in like that when I'm done rowing and I'm busy tying up the lines, you know, like I'm tying up my line to the boat. During that initial tie-up phase, I leave the oars here. And then, when I go inside the boat or I go into town, I take the oars completely off and put them inside the boat, at least like that, sometimes all the way down to the bottom. But on the fateful day in question, when I returned to the boat, this is what I found. I found one oar looking like that, and the other looking like that. It was on the outside, not inside. So I suspect that I left both oars like this. And while I was gone, because the boat was bouncing around in the wind and the waves and other people jostling your dinghy, the thing just worked its way off and fell in the water. And they don't float. And I think it's as simple as that. So it's probably at the bottom, directly under the dinghy dock. That's probably where that oar is. Shit. And you might be asking, well, why not just get a damn nut and put on the end of it? Nuts. I have not been able to find nuts here in town, believe it or not. And that's really the root cause. If it had been on my boat in Scotland, I'd have put a new nut on top. It's just made it damn near permanent. So, I don't think we need the NTSB to analyze this one. This is just pilot error. Yeah. So, what else is there to say, huh? We all have our moments. Ay, 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 ay.